In this episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast, we talk about whether or not branding yourself is a good idea in casting. Welcome to the How to Get on Reality TV podcast with Dan Giesling, where I answer your reality TV casting questions once a week. Hey everyone, what is going on, and welcome to the 71st episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast. That's a lot of episodes. Just count 1 to 71, and I'm not sure I can do that anymore. Just kidding. Anyways, I'm really excited for this episode because we have a great question, something that hasn't been addressed before in terms of branding in reality TV, but I don't want to steal JP's thunder yet. What I do want to do is I want to take a special quick second to thank someone at the end of podcast 70. So last week, I asked you guys if you enjoyed the show and have been listening to it for a while, to leave a review on iTunes by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/iTunes, or you can do it from your phone. And I want to thank Ans47, who actually did that. And, Ans, I appreciate your insight, and I appreciate you taking the time and effort to go leave that iTunes review because you're the only person. And I really appreciate you for doing that. So Ans47, much love to you, and thank you so much. It helps the podcast in a lot of different ways and helps spread the word of what we're trying to do here. But outside of that, before we get into this week's question, I do want to let you guys know the clock is ticking for casting season in particular in the U.S. right now. So one of the things that's been heating up on my end, I know a lot of people are trying to take advantage of, is have me review their audition video. So a lot of people, listen to the podcast, take a lot of time and effort in putting their audition video together, and they don't really know if it's any good or not. And it's really hard to, get an analytical take on it, but I do offer that as a service through the website. If you go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/video-review, that's howtogetonrealitytv.net/video-review, I will review your audition video, and with that comes one audio file. It's like the director's commentary. So when I watch your video for the first time, the very first time, I record my first impressions. So you can sync up that audio file with your video, and you can see what it's like for someone to watch your video for the first time, not just someone, myself. The second thing you get when you order the audition video review service, you get another audio file from me that walks you through my impressions after watching it a couple more times, and the 3 things you must change in terms of my recommendations on how to make it, put yourself in a position to be more successful. So if you're interested in checking out that service, you can go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/video-review. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's question from JP, which is all about branding.
Hey Dan, I'm applying to Survivor for the 6th time, and I really want a good result. Over the last 5 years, I've trained myself to be able to talk to a camera, be articulate, and hopefully shine in a viewing room. So this question is strictly about branding. Because I've applied so many times, I've already given a lot of thought to the character I want to be. But I'm a little worried that the way I present myself may limit me or even stop me from getting cast if the producers don't see me filling the role that I market myself for. A little about me, I'm a former child genius turned free spirit. I rejected the expectations that I become a doctor or lawyer to instead follow my passion for working with kids. I'm a nice, bubbly, big kid at heart. That said, I'm the epitome of the superfan strategist, a cutthroat competitor, and my style of gameplay will likely be perceived as villainous. As of now, I plan to highlight this contrast in my next video to show that there might be some internal conflict going on and that I could be an unexpected force in the game. Do you think that casting will appreciate that I present myself as this specific character? Or do you think they'd rather be able to mold me themselves? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love the podcast. Keep doing what you do.
All right, JP, first and foremost, thank you so much for submitting your question and really putting yourself out there, because it sounds like you've been putting yourself out there for 6 years. And before we get into answering your question, I want to say congrats on that, man. A lot of people throw in the towel after a couple of years, but you've been after it. And I think that is also, like some previous podcast people, questions that have submitted them, it's part of your story now. You've been applying. It means a lot to you, clearly. And I just want to commend you on not throwing in the towel. The other thing I like is that you said you feel you're more camera ready. And the only way you're going to feel more camera ready is after 6 years of experience and putting yourself out there and keep trying new things. So those are good things, JP. But let's get into your question. So the number one thing that kind of stuck out to me before we get to your question is you said you talked a lot about the character you want to be. And my word of caution on that is maybe don't make it the character you want to be, maybe the character that you are, which leads us into who you are as a character. Okay, the first thing you said is you're a child genius that decided to go the other way. So, you could have gone and went and been a doctor, but you went the other way. Right off the bat, I hope somewhere in your audition video you talk about the struggles of being a genius, the benefits of being a genius, and what that really means. I hope you really get into that, because that's something that's going to separate you right away, and that's something that's generally really interesting. I don't know any geniuses, but I'd like to know how your brain works, in particular, how it's going to function in that type of environment. The other thing that you mentioned that's also always a word of caution, and you got to be careful how you do it, but you said you're a super fan and you're an ultimate competitor. I hope that you've listened to the previous podcasts, in particular, how important it is to tell a story. So instead of saying you're going to be a cutthroat competitor, you tell a story that shows that's exactly how you are. But those are all things that I listened, and I'm like, I hope he knows this. I hope he knows this. I hope JP knows this. So I just wanted to hit that before we answer your main question. Your question is, do I think that it's a good idea for you to brand yourself, essentially gift wrap yourself as a character and present it to casting? And my answer to that is no. I don't think you should do that. In terms of specifically saying, well, I'm going to be a villain. Don't do that. Let them figure it out. You got to be careful. One of the cautions about understanding a lot about casting is you don't want to seem too perfect. And if you present them this perfect, no problems at all, no flaws, only benefits. If you present them this perfect villain character, it's going to seem a little too good to be true. So what I would do is I would go as far as you can without saying, hey, I'm going to be the super nerd villain. You don't need to do that. You want to let the casting people feel like, part of the thing when you listen to this podcast and when you take this advice, you're kind of taking some control away from the casting people. You're making it easier for them, but you don't want to make it so they don't have to do any work and they don't have to essentially, find a way. The big thing on that is you don't want to seem too perfect, and that's my worry with you, is that you've spent so much time thinking about it that you've gift wrapped it for them. So I would strongly recommend not doing that. Just make a great video talking about your story and all those interesting points about you, but don't say, hey, I'm going to be a great villain. And don't say, hey, I may struggle with being a villain. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear about you. They don't care how you think you're going to be perceived, at least not until the semifinals or finals, if they think you're going to be worried about that or have a bad reaction to that. But you don't want to bring that up, and you don't want to paint the exact picture down to every pixel for them. But what you can do in exchange is present yourself as a very strong character with flaws and a lot of great things about yourself. The other thing that really just you got to be careful with is going that competitor route. Just saying that you're going to be cutthroat. They hear that time and time again. One of the things that I hope everyone understands from the answer to this question is your video should be 90% you talking about yourself and your stories, and 10% or less talking about what you're going to do in the game, what you're going to bring to the game. Because Survivor's been on for 1,000 years. They've heard everything in casting, and that's not going to be anything new or different. What's going to be new or different is you. So if you look at your 3-minute audition video and you time how much time you're talking about yourself, 90% of it should be about you and 10% of it should be about what you're going to do in the game, how you look at the game. You just don't want to do that because it's so overdone. So JP, you sound very in tune to casting, which is a great thing. You sound like you've done a lot of the hard work already. To me, what I would tell you is pump the brakes a little bit, have fun with it, and don't gift wrap your character to them. Leave it open-ended, so maybe they can put you as a good character. Maybe you're a neutral, evil character, but you want to give things open. You want to put yourself in a position to be open to many different types of characters. So you're going to fill a certain role, but in terms of the alignment of your character, are you good? Are you neutral, wishy-washy? Are you evil? These are all in quotation marks, of course. Leave that open so that they can mold you however they want to mold you. And you're going to find out how they want to mold you by the questions they ask you in a semifinal type interview. The other thing I wish you would have said, JP, when you submitted this question is I would have liked to have heard how far you've gotten in casting, if you've gotten to a semifinal, because that's usually a great indicator of what's working and what's not. You might have got all the way to the finals. I don't know. But if you are going to submit your question like JP, give me a little more information so we can, I can help stretch out as much as I can do to help you while helping everyone else in the podcast. But JP, is a small thank you for submitting your question. We're going to send you a free copy of my digital story, How a Normal Guy Got Cast on Reality TV. And if you want your question answered on the podcast, go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/ask. There's an app you can access from your voicemail. You can do it from your browser. It's really easy. And if you want to use a fake name, use a fake name, because I know some people are paranoid about that, which is cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking with the podcast, and I hope this helped you out, man. All right, so that wraps up episode 71 of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope I helped some of you guys, and it's been a long, fun journey. I mean, we've been doing this for over a year, consistently every single week. I know I talked about it last week, but it's just cool. I mean, episode 71. We're approaching 100 very quickly. It just seemed like just last week we had Rob Sesternino on for episode 50. But anyway, speaking of Rob Sesternino, this has nothing to do with him. But if you guys want me to take a look at your audition video review, I have a service in which I look at your audition video reviews and provide critical and analytical feedback in the form of 2 audio files that are going to be very helpful to you if you guys want to take your audition video to the next level. You can check that out by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/audition not audition. Go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/video-review. And you can find out all the information on how to access the service there. So go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/video-review. And I am out of here, and I will see you guys next Monday for the next great question from all you smart listeners. Have a great evening, great weekend, great life, and I'll see you guys next time.